Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jennifer Hart Connected. I am Jennifer Hart. If you haven't met me before, thank you for being here. Please say hello. Where are you tuning in from? How'd you find me? How did the universe send you to get here? Is what I always like to know. It's funny. The other day, my friend was like, "Oh yeah, someone Googled me and they found your interview on YouTube of us together." And I was like, I love it. Like, those are the stories I want to hear. And so they didn't know me. They were looking for the other person, but then they made their way to my channel. And maybe that happened to you. And now you're here today looking at these other interviews that I have with these amazing, beautiful souls in the world who are stepping into or have stepped into their universal soul gifts that they're sharing with the world in so many different ways. So we are going to be diving into that today with an amazing person who has an amazing modality that is just amazing. And I want to tell you about it. And I purposely did the third amazing because I was like, I've said amazing twice now. Why not one more time just to be funny? If you're not laughing at home, that's okay. I laughed on the inside. And I always say anybody after my own laugh is a bonus. So, okay. I'm going to take myself off the stage and we are going to dive right in. I want to tell you about our guest today. Her name is Gina Vance, and she is a mind-body mentor and inner journey guide who brings her experience with shamans, integrative medical doctors, and a wide range of healers to her full-time private practice, guiding individuals and groups on inner journeys of self-discovery, healing, and transition. Gina teaches mind-body methods that are easy, gentle, and transformative, resolving anxieties, malaise, and feeling stuck, while healing the traumas at the root of unwanted habits and experiences. As the developer of SMGI, also known as Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery, she knows how to guide you into the depths of your subconscious and deep self in a light and comfortable way so that you can experience the beauty, power, and value that is intrinsically yours to embody and express in the waiting world. I worked on that. It still could have some improvement. Let's bring Gina on. Gina, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I personally, so I always like to start with how did I get connected to my guest and how did this come together? And so, how it came together, and we'll start with our story, is I met this beautiful soul named Amy Anna. And Amy Anna was one of your students and is now a practitioner of this awesome method called, we're going to call it SMGI because it's just way shorter, but it's Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery. If you look at Gina's name, it's right next to there. And so she was telling me about the SMGI, ended up doing a session with her, thought it was just like the most amazing thing ever. And I went to your website to learn more about it. And I saw you did an interview with someone. And I was like, well, I want to do an interview with her. And so I told Amy Anna, and then she gave us the connection. And you said yes, because you are here to share your mission and this modality to help others on their healing journeys. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay, so I always like to ask people when we're starting off after how did you and I get connected or how did you end up here is, well, first let's talk about what is SMGI. Let me start there. That's where I'm going to start today.
Okay. Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery is a special, gentle process of guiding others or guiding yourself inwards into your deep self, often called the subconscious, superconscious, and so on. Includes your subconscious for sure, but guiding you inwards to your deep self. And it gives you simple ways to connect to your most complete inner wisdom in order to connect to sources of support, strength, love, clear away inner subconscious clutter, limiting beliefs, perceptions, understandings, worldviews, vows, oaths, promises, energies. And most significantly, it helps you to reconnect to the parts of you that you've gotten disconnected from. Either they flew away in overwhelming episodes in your life, or you had to hide them to keep them or yourself safe, or you might have rejected them because it wasn't safe or even helpful to have them be embodied and expressed in you when you needed to move forward in life. And that's always that always happens ingeniously. And then there comes a point in our lives where then we reach the point of diminishing returns, where now things don't work. And we're usually called inwards with some kind of pain, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, so that we can follow the pain that will lead us to the clutter to clear and those parts to reconnect with and bring back. And when we do that, then we no longer have the stress that was connected to those parts that we've always felt. And in its place, we have this additional life force, vitality, comfort in our mind, body, and energy system. That's a thumbnail.
I'm like, and I would like to add, since I've experienced a session, is it was very, you said non-invasive. Yes, very gentle. So I'm going to give my plug immediately because I want people to know and stick around to hear more about it and your story, which is so powerful, of like how you got to this place and now you're helping others and sharing like the amazingness that you have experienced in your own healing journey of your extreme back pain that you've had. But in my session, it was the first, I don't know that I could say the first time. I feel pretty confident in saying that, but I felt like it was the first time that my heart just opened up and was able to show a space that has been really hard for it to get into in other sessions. Now, I love all the work I've done with everybody else and all the modalities because maybe that set me up for being able to finally open it here. But I felt like it was so safe and gentle and positive. It was really focused on the positive and in the body as well, like recording, anchoring in those positive feelings in your body to create that safety as well. That I was able to do some very deep healing work, and it was so light, gentle, fun, easy, like amazing. Whereas in other sessions I've been in, like, you know, these negative or hurtful feelings come up. And honestly, like, I think that's why a lot of people are scared to do the work, because they don't want to experience that. And that is part of doing the work, is facing that and releasing it. And that's great. But my heart has been like, oh, hell no, like, we're not doing that. And with the SMGI, my heart was like, finally, this is for me. And this is what I tell people all the time. You have to find what's for you. It'll change at different times based on who you are, and just the perfect time of what I was wanting to work on this session. And Amy Anna came to me, and I was just like, I've been telling everybody about it since. And that's why I was like, I have to have you on my show so that other people can hear about this and how amazing it is. So thank you for creating it. And I'm so excited to do more sessions. So I'll have more follow-up in the future.
You know, it's kind of like saying thank you for creating my daughter. I really didn't, I can't take credit for creating her. I definitely participated, but you know, I brought her through me. I allowed her to come through me. And that's really in large degree how I feel about SMGI. It was something that I had agreed to bring in and through me. And it was a treasure hunt to find the pieces and listen for the inspirations for it all to come together. And it's there's nothing like it. It's wonderful in so many ways. And like you were saying, nowadays there is a plethora of modalities that we can utilize in order to move ourselves out of pain and into ease and whatever else it is that we want. And so it's really exciting times that so much is available now. And these kinds of things aren't considered fringe anymore.
No, they're not. I feel like it's a revolution happening with the industry of personal growth and development and healing, self-healing, that is. And so thank you for being a part of that. And I'm like, that's where I am also here, being a connector. And I heal people through connections, through the network that I run, and just, you know, also helping healers and practitioners and coaches to get their soul gifts out there as well. And it's so important because we all have a role to play, and doing work like the modality of SMGI can help people to release what might be holding them back so that they can step into their power. And with that being said, I want to hear more, if you're open to sharing, about your own personal journey of how you got into, I always call it the catalyst. Like, what was your catalyst of how you got into the world of healing and on your own healing journey? Because I know it's a really good story.
Yeah, what a great word, catalyst, because we need catalysts, and sometimes they're really pleasurable, and many times they aren't, and they're very unwanted, right? I love that idea, that term that I learned from Michael Meade, the mythologist, of the concept of the adversarial mentor. It's here to mentor you, but it's showing up as an adversary, and it's helping you to connect to the power that you have and to rise in that in order to resolve whatever the adversity is. And so, um, gosh, starting in the middle of the story, everything was going great. I had a handsome husband and a baby daughter. I was 35. I wanted a baby since I was 20. Everything was perfect. And then shortly after she was born, I developed excruciating pain. Felt like a serrated, rusty knife being twisted in my back while my skin on my legs was being peeled off. Right? It's right. That doesn't really come close to describing it, but that's the best I can do. And everything that I tried to get rid of it, or at least turn it down, didn't work or made it worse. And so I really didn't want to be here in this body on this planet anymore, but there was no way I was going to abandon my baby daughter. So I had to find a way. So I tried everything I could find. And then when those didn't work or made it worse, then I developed the courage to try the things that were unconventional, outside of my comfort zone for sure, that I thought of as weird. And so even massage therapy was a big leap for me in those days, right? I had to have, but I have all this pain, so that justifies I can do it. But from there, it was all kinds of healers, some wildly instinctual and psychic and empathic, others very much steeped in evidence-based protocols, integrative medical doctors. I studied and trained with all kinds of intuitive healers and shamans. And it was my experience being trained by shaman John Livingston that was really the most profoundly shifting. That I had a turning point in my work with him. And he's the one that encouraged me to go to hypnotherapy school. And so I did that, but not with any intention to do any of this professionally. It was just like, fine, if it'll help, I'll do it. And that was quite a riotous experience in itself. But when I finished that training 18 months later, I knew that I had to share this with others. And that was 23 years ago. And it was very uncomfortable for my ego because it was weird. And also I lived in a relatively small town, at least a small town mentality, where all that stuff was really looked upon with suspicion, and like maybe it was opening you up to bad things. So it was kind of a crucible, bringing that forth in that context. But there was something in me that was stronger than my ego that said, this is what we've got to do. So it was just within 2 years of offering the hypnotherapy work to clients that I had got additional pieces, additional insights from my clients and from my intuition that helped bring it all together into what we're calling nowadays somatic mindful guided imagery.
And what happened to your back pain? When did it go away? And what was the root cause of it?
Yeah. So it took 5 years, right? When I set out on my path to find out how to get out of this pain pickle, and it took 5 years. And then it was when I graduated from hypnotherapy school that probably it was 80% reduced. And then over the next couple of years of doing this work, it was 100% reduced. It was eliminated. And then there were times over the years where there would be little flare-ups, but I had learned how to work with it by then with these protocols in SMGI so that it was quelled almost instantly. Yeah. You asked what the root of it was. In the beginning, I assumed it was just physical, shoveling rocks in my grandpa's garden, whatever. But over that 5 years, what I discovered that it was rooted in trauma. I had a real challenging childhood, as they say, a lot of violence and abuse and neglect, physically and on many other levels. And yet I had to put that behind me so that I could go forward and function in life. And actually, when I was 18, I started experiencing symptoms of PTSD. I didn't know what they were at the time, but I was able just to put my head down and keep going until after my baby girl was born. When I was 35, it's like, now's the time. And so it was pretty grueling and arduous. And what I'm really grateful to know is that for most people now, the times that we're in now, it doesn't require so much gruel and ardor, because now things are easier than ever to dispatch quickly, to get done. Part of it is the protocols that are available now on practically every street corner. And a lot of it has to do with the consciousness that has shifted so dramatically. When I was praying and asking for help, and when is this ever going to get fun? What is the point of this? Is if all we're doing is just one trauma after the other. I kept being shown that time was coming when there would be a grand clamoring, and that there would be so many people reaching out, ready to heal and needing helpers to help them heal, and a wide variety and styles and backgrounds of helpers. And so that kept me going, with a little eye rolls, because we'll believe that when we see that, because it seemed like a long time. But when I started noticing that, I think that's happening. It's really been happening in earnest in my experience over the last 3 years. Just in my work with clients, just noticing how much easier and faster they get even more done. So we are in those magical times.
Yes, 2020 was here for a reason, and I think a lot of people have seen that, and it's awoken a lot of people. And so it's just really powerful. And I love that you were able to find that the physical pain, because there's so many studies and research coming out about this that are now saying that physical ailments is just not necessarily disease, but it is dis-ease of emotional, spiritual, mental pain, whether it's your own, your generational trauma from your family line, or past lives too. Whether you believe that or not, could or could not be true, So it's like if you're hurting, it's be open and explore it, because look how it changed your life. Not only did you heal your back pain, but you've now created this amazing modality, and you are creating this ripple effect of healing throughout other people. And my personal belief is, like, my mission here is to make healing knowledge and connections accessible to others so that they can start on their own journey of personal growth, development, transformation, healing, whatever their path is. And my experience has been, and my belief is, that when I do my own work, it ripples to anyone that I come in contact with 100 times down the line. So I can treat someone with kindness because I'm able to control myself. And then, like, that person might go ripple to someone else, YZ down the line. So yeah, it's so powerful. And what I want to say, and I don't think you'll mind if I share this, is that Gina was an engineer. And so I feel like that's important information, because that's really bridging the gap, because there's a lot of things about engineering, math, and science, and thoughts and perspectives of evidence. And like you said, I wasn't really open, but you didn't use the words, but desperate to heal this. And so I became open because of that. And I think it's so important to talk about that background. I mean, do you have anything you want to talk about it or share?
Sure, of course. Well, and one of the things I realized that my pain needed to become greater than my fear. So then then I would have the courage to try things that I was afraid of. And why that was important to me is because that has been the case for many of my clients. And I realize that it's fairly universal for most of us. Our pain, whatever form of pain, does need to be significant enough for us to take the risk to answer the call, turn inwards, and follow it to what needs to happen. And the good news is it's only one of three things: connect to strengths, clear clutter, and rescue your parts, bring them back. But yeah, I was an architectural lighting designer, illuminating engineer, and drew up very complicated plans with all kinds of little moving pieces. And you know, the lighting reps had kind of a joke about me that I never made mistakes on my blueprints, and I thought they were exaggerating until I had employees, and they made mistakes. And I later learned that perfectionism is one of the 9 trauma responses. It's in the under the annihilate response, the make it stop response, or never allow it to happen. So I look back and I'm charmed by that person that was just so verklempt in never letting a mistake happen. But it was rewarding work in certain ways. The design phase and the culmination phase, where it was complete, were really rewarding, but pretty tedious in between getting it implemented. And I taught architects and lighting design, or architects and engineers and interior designers, how to use the technology in a way that made their hearts happy, and the end result made the humans happy in the environment, how they moved around, how they used it. And then later I realized that it was just preparing me for the work I'm here to do with SMGI, is to take something that's very complex with a lot of intricate pieces, make it very simple in ways that are practical, usable, doable, and bring an end result that makes the heart happy. So, it seems very different, but I the more I go, the more I understand why I did what I did. My soul knew what it was doing the whole time. So, when we're in it, we don't always understand why we were called to what we were called to, or called to leave it and start something new, but it's all revealed eventually.
I love that so much. And yes, the same thing. Like, I worked at an engineering company also, and while I was there, I was just like, oh, this is not fulfilling to me. But I went to an intuitive, and she's like, but you're here for a reason, and it's going to be in your path. And it's so crazy because now I am so grateful. I see exactly, as I look back, I see exactly why I was there, and I'm implementing everything I learned there into my business and into the network now. And it's so like, oh, it's just amazing. So I love that you said that. Okay, 2 things I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you call this something, your 3, I don't know, connect to strengths, clear clutter, and reconnect to parts. Is that what it was? Do you have a name, a like catchy name for that or something? The 3 keys? I don't know.
That's what we do in SMGI. And really, the truth is, any modality that you engage in, know that that's what you're working towards. Connect to inner strengths, clear away that clutter that's hurting you, it's in the way, it's stopping you, and become more whole. Healing is holding. So have you ever seen that game called Jenga with the wooden blocks? Right? So they're all stacked up, and then the game is to pull one out without it crumbling. And it's such a great analogy for many of us, because energetically we have so many missing blocks that we don't have stability. So we're more in survival and less in creativity. So as we become more whole, then we're more stable, we're more fluid, we're safe, and we're able to be more creative.
I love that. And then was reconnect to parts. Did I capture it right? And then that's where you become whole, because you're reconnecting to those parts of the Jenga piece. You're instead of pulling parts out, you're putting it back in to make it whole and stable. So it's reverse Jenga.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a few things that we do with those parts. So first of all, it's very gentle and respectful, and we don't go looking for the parts. Right, they just show up, and usually people will follow a body discomfort that will lead them to the part, and the part will be a certain age, often younger, occasionally a past life part, occasionally an older part, but usually younger. And that part will essentially be stuck reliving an experience over and over perpetually. And they will be holding, storing, and carrying the energies and emotions related to that. And then you, the central person, will be feeling that, and you'll be doing your best to redirect your attention to something that feels better. And so when you're guided to those parts, it means you're ready to meet them and they're ready to meet you. And then you get to know them very gently and respectfully in a special little dialogue process that we have that really opens your heart towards those parts. And so there's a connection between you and that part, and they're a part of you, so you love them. And because they're a part of you, you are their everything. And so as you get to know them through this precious, sweet little dialogue process, ultimately, then you get to do two things for them. You get to disburden that part of anything that ever hurt them or scared them, any old emotions, energies, vibrations, frequencies, limiting beliefs, innocent misperceptions, worldviews, understandings, or agreements, vows, oaths that they made, which are binding, and no conscious willpower can unbind you from an oath that you made. You have to go down where you made it, and you can clear it away there very easily. You can revoke agreements, revoke contracts, and so you can unburden them of all that they're carrying for you, little heroes. And then you can relocate them to a special place in your heart or anywhere in, on, or around your body that they want to be, where from now on they'll be safe, protected, and free. And everything that they've ever wanted and needed will be supplied to them abundantly from now on, because the rules are different in the inner world, where whatever you want to have happen, you can have that happen. And and then you get to know what are the wonderful qualities about that part. What are the wonderful aspects about them that can bring real benefit to your life at this time? And so those will be qualities that have been lost to you because they've been bound up in that survival experience typically. And now that the part is safe and it's unburdened, now it just gets to be its authentic self. And with whatever qualities those are, playfulness or perceptivity and saying, no, that's not, whatever it is, they have really helpful traits, characteristics, qualities that you need now in order to accomplish whatever it is that you came into your session intending to experience and create.
I love that. And I want to make a comment real quick
Yeah.
because my session, I've only done one and there's more to follow, but I didn't have any parts come. Who came for me was my dog
Mhm.
that had passed away.
Yeah.
And apparently I had some grief there in my heart. And this is where my heart finally opened. And this,
Mm.
dog came and I had guilt and grief around losing my dog. And then my grandparents were there. And it's funny because there's been so many instances where I know that they watched me from 0 to like 5, that there was a lot of chaos and trauma happening there. And I was impacted by it. And it's come up in so many other sessions, but it was just so peaceful and beautiful. And it was safe and positive, like, and I love them to death, and I know that they didn't mean any harm, and they thought they were doing the absolute best that they could, that they knew of, right? And so yeah, it was interesting, but those maybe were parts of me, but I feel like it was my heart mending situations and traumas from them. And then they gave me messages. I'd have to go back and like watch my session and look at my notes, which I didn't bring with me today, unfortunately, because it was just so beautiful. I mean, I told anybody that would listen to me, like, oh my God, I found the best modality for my heart. Like, and I believe in all the modalities. I think everything and everyone has something to offer. So I'm excited because I was like, I've been calling in parts work. So I'm like, I hope these parts show up in my next sessions that I have because that sounds
Well,
amazing.
your heart is a part,
True that. Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And most people work in sets of 6 sessions at a time. However, I've noticed over the years, my clients have taught me that there's a pattern of 3 sessions for most people, not all, where it takes most people 3 sessions to get through all those steps that I shared with you one time. So typically in the first session, you might just connect to those inner resources. And oftentimes they are parts of you and they could be represented in any way, but they can also be external resources. They could be angels, they could be ancestors, they could be your husband or boyfriend. It could, it, all that's helpful and good is welcome. And yet, as you continue, the most potently beneficial and empowering and helpful will be aspects of you. So sometimes those are archetypal, like your inner warrior or your inner queen or your inner princess, whatever. So that's actually a lot to get done in the first session. And typically the first session, it's about connecting to resources, maybe clearing some clutter. The second session, connecting to more resources, clearing some clutter. And then the third session, every third session, typically for most people, is where you'll connect to resources, you'll clear clutter, and then a part will show up that's ready to be rescued, to be integrated, to come home.
Ooh, I love
Now, there are certain people, they do all of that in every session. That's more rare. There are other people that it takes them to session number 6 for that to happen. And occasionally there are others that it takes longer because that's what their system is ready for. And that's one of the wonderful things about SMGI is as the practitioner, we don't have to get you to do anything. We are really trusting your inner wisdom, and it's amazing how it will take you exactly where you need to go, in what order. It knows the priority of what you need to connect to and in what order, in what way. And so our work as SMGI guides is to support that. And we know the language of the subconscious, so we know how to make it easier for you to be receptive to that is here for you, that wants to help you and work with you, that wants your attention.
Oh, that's so good. And I love that you said that the sessions are different for everybody and you laid out how, in my session, I feel like I have done a lot of work. So, someone who's just starting on their own personal healing journey, it might not look anything like mine. So, I'm really happy you brought that up because, and then it also reminded me, I saw a lot of Disney characters. So, I think those were parts of me shown as Disney characters, which is funny because I don't even watch a lot of Disney movies. I did maybe as a kid. And so then I was like, well, then that's me as a kid. And that's what little Jennifer was showing was all these Disney characters. But some of the movies I've never even seen before. And I was like, I don't know why this is here, but I have known to trust it. And the second thing you said was the practitioners that you've trained have no expectations. And I think that's really important because I do feel like there has been sessions of other people and modalities that they didn't mean anything, but maybe they mentioned like, oh yeah, and somebody cried. Well, for me, crying is not safe, and so instantly that creates unsafety, non-safety, I don't know what the word would be, but it's
Mhm.
like no. So then my heart is guarded and is like, nope, this person's not safe, they're trying to get me to cry, and that doesn't feel good. So what I've realized is laughing is my crying, so that's my release, and releases can look like anything.
Mhm.
I want people to know that. But I love that you said you specifically focus on having no expectations and allowing the person to have the best experience that they already know to have because of the inner wisdom and how powerful that is. Looks like you have a thought formulating.
Well, we learn about helping the client, the journeyer, know what they could expect, right? So sometimes if they're newer to personal development work, or they've done a lot of work and wasn't too fun, they're a little reticent. And so we can just, like I shared with you, this is essentially how it goes. This is essentially what's available, what can happen. And then sometimes we'll share stories about how it's worked for other people. And so it's kind of like, what do they call that? Social proof. Um, So it just helps them to know what is allowed, because when you are sitting with an SMGI guide, it's such a completely different experience that at first, usually you need the first session to like feel what it is and know that, oh, this is different. And so you have a sense of how you can trust yourself to go with your guide. Because most helpers want to help. Right. And this is how I was trained with shamanism. As a shaman, you take out the bad energy. It's called an extraction healing. You collect and blow in the soul fragment, called a soul retrieval. You help them get their power animals and go to the upper world, to the higher allies. So also in hypnotherapy school, even though it was a wonderful method that I learned, alchemical hypnotherapy, still I felt that the onus was on me as the hypnotherapist. Oh, which one of these techniques do I offer them right now? Oh, they need to get here. How do I get them there? And that was a really stressful way to work. So it was within the first year that I was shown, don't need to do that at all. Just trust their inner wisdom. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Academy for Guided Imagery. It's set up and oriented and designed that way. So when I studied with them, it just, yes, 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 yes. So it's very invitational. It's very respectful. It's created by doctors, and doctors don't want you. They want a lot of respect, right? They don't want you telling them, and now you're going to cry. Oh, no, you need to do that. Go do it. It's like, so, and that's another thing that brings to mind is ego. I have nothing against ego. Oh, are we frozen?
I can hear you, but your physically video is frozen in this beautiful.
From the standpoint of SMGI, ego is just personality, your personality, how you understand yourself as a person. And those of us that have had big or highly developed egos, we needed them to survive our conditions, whatever they were. And so the bigger someone's ego is, the more respect and gentleness they require so that they don't get skittish and shut down. So SMGI, thanks to my own former big ego and working with people with highly developed egos because they needed them to be, it's really been designed to work with people where they're at and help them to know that they are safe and they are in control.
I love that. Okay, so I love that you brought up the ego part of it, because when I was sharing my experiences with you, that was actually the word that came to me, is that sometimes I think naturally, and I know I have a big ego, and I'm sure that other people experience that as well. So I have to always kind of reel it back in. You mentioned that for yourself too. And I think sometimes we don't always know it, and that can be something to just be aware of. So I'm happy that you mentioned it. It was crazy that you said that, and thank you for sharing all that you did.
Yeah.
Before I say something else.
Well, the image that often comes to mind for me regarding the ego is of a working sheepdog. It wants to go, 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 do, do, do. It just needs a masterful guide to direct it. And it doesn't have to be bombastic, right? It can be very subtle, but there needs to be clear communication between the personality or ego and the central self. So that's one of the end results of doing SMGI sessions, is that you come more into your central self. From that place, you can be aware of your different parts that are activated, whether it's ego or younger part or angry part or victim part, whatever part, and however they show up. When you are better at being in your center, then you're less identified with your parts. And you can tend to them, you can help them, you can lead them gently or stridently, whatever it's called for.
That's perfect. And what you reminded me of that I forgot to say was ego as feedback is what I would call it. So you said earlier, the bigger someone's ego has, like the more probably underlying parts that they have. So, and I really resonate with that for myself, because people have always been like, Jen, you're so confident, blah, blah, blah. But really it was all masking for insecurities underneath, you know. And I've seen a lot of people, I can feel that in other people as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to talk about the 9 traumas. However, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, we're not going to have enough time, because there's other things that I want to talk about and give to the people. Like you're going to lead us through a little quick SMGI experience, right? And then we'll talk about if people are wanting to try this for themselves, and also upcoming training. If they're like, I've been wanting to get into healing, or I want to add this to my tool belt in my own business. I already have that. You have training coming up. So let's just real quick touch on it. The 9 trauma responses. I would love to do a follow-up video, if you're open, about that specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's 9. You've heard of fight, flight, freeze, and sometimes fawn, sometimes attach, sometimes submit. But in my experience, there are 9 discrete survival responses that can become trauma-related reactions. And just real briefly, there's the most popular ones, fight, flight, freeze. But probably the most utilized by all of us is avoid. And so there's avoid, submit, and surrender. And then there is attach, annihilate, and repeat. And repeat is a super important magical one. And I just want to speak to it here, because so many times we're down on ourselves for repeating a theme, but really it's our inner genius that has gravitated us to a relationship or a situation where a theme can be reactivated in order to give us an opportunity to put a new ending on it and complete it. So it's not dysfunction. It's part of your inner genius. Really, all of these are. They're all trying to help you. And so, yeah, I'm writing a book on those 9 trauma responses or survival responses that become trauma-related reactions. And hopefully that'll be out in the next 6 months to a year. But, we'll see.
Okay. Well, with this seeding the book that is coming, stay tuned, and we will do an interview on those and dive a little bit deeper. I want to learn more because I know I'm a fawner and a freezer mostly. Sometimes can be a fight, definitely an avoider, perfectionist for sure. I don't know, everything you're saying. I was like,
we all do them all.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's a scale or it's like interchangeable. So I can't wait to talk about that. So thank you for listing some or all of those. I didn't count them. And then sharing about your upcoming book. That's very exciting. Okay. To be continued, everyone. If you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Facebook, wherever you're watching it, make sure that you stay tuned for that. And then let's move into you offered, and I'm so excited because this was a surprise for me, to do a little SMGI, somatic mindful guided imagery for us.
In a way. So this is something that you experience in your first session with your practitioner as you're going through your questionnaire. And SMGI has a magical questionnaire that in part is written in the language of the subconscious. So it magically draws things out of you because you've never been asked those things in that way before. And so I would like to ask you 3 of the questions, if that's okay with you.
Yes. Oh, I love this. And the questionnaire, I hated it because I didn't know the answers to anything. And I was like, what? And it was so different, but it was actually great. I think it prepared me for the session. So please go on.
All right, Jennifer. So when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I have to answer these questions live right now? Okay, great.
Or not.
Oh, no, I will. But this is what I'm saying. I didn't know the answers. So when I was a little kid, I just remember wanting to be a veterinarian for the purpose of helping animals. However, I'm like, I could never be a veterinarian because I can't do the blood stuff and I can't put animals down, and seeing sick and hurt animals, just like that affects my heart so much. And so I want to help animals. I thought veterinarian was the only way to do it.
And when you were little, before you knew all that bad stuff about being a vet, when you were little and you were dreaming of being a veterinarian, what was it that most appealed to you or that you most connected with?
Helping animals.
Okay, beautiful. And then did you have a favorite story, fairy tale, or movie when you were little?
The Lion King.
Mhm,
I don't know how little I was. I was probably a little bit older.
mhm.
I don't remember. Oh, I loved the Pound Puppies, like all, My Little Pony, all things with animals. I've just loved animals since I was a kid.
Okay, so let's start with The Lion King. What was it about The Lion King that you most connected with?
Okay,
Any
well,
character that you identified with?
no, I'm going to tell you a truth bomb right now. I loved animals and I loved Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So he was the voice of the Lion King. So I think that that also brought a draw to it. I'm like blushing. And I don't know. It's just I love jungle animals, like love lions and tigers my whole life. And
Yeah,
so to see them in action, I don't know that there was
okay.
obviously Simba would probably be the character that I would pick. I don't know.
What was it about Simba?
I don't know. See, this is where I don't know that I ever
Mhm.
really thought of these
Yeah,
things. Like I just
yeah,
like him.
and Jonathan Taylor what's?
Thomas.
Thomas. Okay, I don't know him, but Jonathan Taylor Thomas, when you heard his voice, what experience did that create in you?
Well, I thought he was so cute, and
Mhm.
you get your little celebrity crushes. He was on Tool Time, as one of the sons, and I had his pictures all over my walls. And so it's probably love, like, oh, I want love and companionship, even as a child.
Yeah, beautiful. And what about the Pound Puppies?
I just remember that I loved the Pound Puppies. I don't know much about why. It was that would be really little.
Mhm. Okay. All right, last question. When you were younger, any heroes, anyone that you especially admired?
Okay, well, the first person that comes to mind is Shira.
Mhm.
I'm
Good.
aging myself. Everyone, I'm 41, and I'll be 42 in March.
I
So
was dying to know. I could not
Shira.
place you.
The Pound Puppies, Rainbow Bright, Shira, all those things when I was young. Yeah,
Okay.
she was the first one, and Rainbow Bright loved her too. Oh, and Punky Brewster, actually, I got her shoes. That's how I know I liked her the most because I got her shoes, and I just wanted to be here. And I don't even know why. Maybe because she was very authentic and like eccentric. And as I've gotten older, people have described me in that way, which I never knew that about myself because to me, I'm normal, right?
Mhm. What about Shira? What was it about her that you admired or felt was heroic?
Maybe that she was bold, brave, and courageous.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know. That's my first guesses right now.
perfect. Just whatever blurts right out is perfect. Okay, Rainbow Bright. What was it about Rainbow Bright?
Oh, she was colorful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know much else about her except she was colorful. I
All
couldn't
right.
remember anything else.
Beautiful. All right. So, this your answers give us clues into your essential nature, your essential self and your destiny, what you're here to embody, express in this world. And so, I want to just read this back to you and you just feel in your body and notice if it resonates or not. So, you, Jennifer, are here to help animals. And of course, humans, our animal nature is the part of us that's all bound up in survival and being just authentic. And so, our animal natures, our souls are fine. It's our animal natures that really need the help. And you're here to help the animal nature in this world. And you're here also to be cute and to be lovable and to be loving and to provide companionship. And in your job you talk about, you're helping people get up on their feet and move into what they're good at and do it. But you're also here to experience love and companionship and that cuteness in that love relationship. And you are here to be very authentic and eccentric. Right? If you're not eccentric, you're not doing you. You're not being you. You're not doing your destiny. You're here to be bold and brave and courageous and colorful. That is your destiny. That is your essence, your essential nature. Any of that resonate?
Absolutely. I mean, when I said, I kind of was like, I think I know where she's going with this. And when I heard colorful, I was like, me, Punky Brewster being her authentic self, me, and eccentric me. The animal pieces, like, I don't know. I mean, that makes sense what you said, but I would have never put that together. I just help animals, and that is in my grander plan that I will incorporate some type of other people being able to do the same and with personal growth and development. So that's cool. And then what did you say? The bold, brave, and courageous. As soon as I said it out loud, I was like, I know that's what I need to call in more of myself for this year. So spot on. Absolutely perfect. I love it.
And the beautiful thing is it's already in you. It's already in you. It's your essence and it's your destiny. So, of course, you're going to have opportunities to connect to what you really are and embody it and express it. So, it's already you and it's what you're becoming more and more and more of.
Absolutely. And what's funny is in my session, we don't have enough time to share it, but what came through, I had several intentions. And the one that came through was about healing my heart so I can call in my future partner for companionship and love. And you nailed that. So I love that.
And you just named it and claimed it.
I did.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. It's already on its way. It's done. Thank you for that. That was so fun. And if you are watching this at home, ask yourself those questions and then go back, write them down and circle the things that kind of Gina picked out and do this for yourself and or book your own SMGI session. And let's talk about that real quick, just a couple minutes, because I want to make sure we get to the training, which was the big piece that like we just had all this other amazing stuff come up.
Yeah, I encourage you, if you're interested at all, go to the website, somaticmindfulguidedimagery.com, and you'll see there's a practitioner's page there. And they're all different backgrounds and all different price ranges. And so you can read about them, you can reach out to them, and you can have a session or sessions with any of them. And I'm included there. And there is a training to learn to deliver SMGI to others. And in the course of the training, you experience being a journeyer. So your classmates are guiding you, and then you switch and you guide them. You do many, many trades. And by the end of the 6 months, many people are ready to hang up their shingle and to start guiding others. And not everyone that goes through the training is going to do it professionally as an SMGI guide. I was just talking to someone earlier who was asking me about the training and let me figure out the numbers here. And it just came to me, if you went to a health retreat and where you got your life completely transformed in a community where it felt safe and you returned to your life that way, how much is that worth? So most people that come, they want to learn a modality that is effective and fun and that people love. You don't have to do it professionally. And many people that come have experienced it. So that's where they first got smitten with it. But not everyone. Some people want to learn somatic work. They want to learn guided imagery. They want to learn to better serve their existing clients if they have them. And they want to get really immersed in a modality that is going to help them do all the things that we mentioned earlier. So I just interject too, when you're talking about the parts, the Disney characters, when you are asking yourself those questions as a little kid with the Punky Brewster and She-Ra and all of that, they were parts of you. They were representing parts of you. And this is something that we all do for each other, right? That's a version of me. Yes, I love that because that is a version of me. And of course, there's the opposite. Ooh, I don't like that at all. And then we can heal that version of ourselves. But yeah, reach out and get facilitated by a guide if you are drawn, if you're interested, and consider joining the course. We do it every March. It goes for 6 months. This year, we're meeting Saturday mornings in California at 11:30 for a couple of hours. And then there's video lectures to watch in between and trades to do with your classmates.
So really, if someone decides to do the training, they will learn. Can you do SMGI on yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the whole point.
Okay, so will learn this as a tool for yourself. You could also create a business with it, or you can add it into an already existing business as additional tools. Instead of buying all these sessions, you could just come have the tool to take home with you all the time. And at some point, that's going to pay off more so than how do I say it? Like your investment of buying all these sessions, X sessions would equal just buying this and learning it for yourself so that you can just do it yourself. So it sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I just want to say that everything is easier in community wherever two or more are gathered, but it's absolutely doable to facilitate yourself. And the analogy that often comes to mind is a backpacker. You're not going to carry a surgeon with you in case you have a slip and fall and need some stitches, but you will carry some first aid items, and it would be a great idea to know how to apply that first aid. So when you learn the tools of SMGI, there's a lot of first aid that you can offer to yourself and your parts by being your own guide, your own facilitator. And then, of course, you will have a lot of people to trade with in your sphere of influence after having going through the course.
That's amazing. Okay, so if someone goes to this website and then they have more questions, is there like a contact form that they can submit their questions or connect with you?
Yeah.
Do you offer that?
Yeah, there's a button you can click on, and it will send me an email that you want to chat with me first. You need more information. There's a ton of information, but you just need to connect with me, and I'm happy to answer your questions. It's a good investment. It's not as big an investment as a lot of things, but it's a sizable investment. But really, it's not about the money. It's about like you're going to enter into this new experience. You don't know for sure what to expect, except that your life is going to change. And that's pretty scary for most people. So if you're ready to really change your life significantly, it's something for you to consider.
Absolutely. I highly, highly recommend that at the very least, you go book a session with a practitioner. I would recommend Amy Anna Soto. She is listed on that list. That's who I did my session with. She's amazing. She's just so safe and loving and gentle. She has had her own amazing story of this has like changed her whole life, this work, which is why she decided to become a practitioner, which is often what happens is people have such an experience of change and transformation that then they want to give that experience to others. So I recommend her. You can find her there. And she's also part of the network. So that's amazing as well. I just love her to death. Hi, Miana.
She's incredible. She's an incredible soul.
She is. And then if you are even at the least bit curious, go check it out. A sizable investment means something different to everybody. So do you mind sharing like what
it's $6,700 for the 6-month training. And we meet 27 times live over Zoom. And then you've got all the coursework in between. And if you put in Jennifer's code here, you'll save $300 off. I think, does that say 3,000?
No, 300, and then it says off.
Oh,
so
off.
300
okay.
with off. I know it does look like 3,000 now that you said it. And what I want to say is Gina, although I've only met Gina recently, she is amazing and a great mentor. I've heard about her from Amy Anna, and I can see their interactions, and she just loves and supports her students so much. She puts them on her website. She's constantly saying, go book with them. And just having any help and support that she can. And that's not every program. You know, a lot of programs, it's like you're in and then you're out. And you said that community piece is really important. And I know, you know, we only have a couple minutes, 2 minutes left, but you have your upcoming event. And then there's people coming with you to this like expo and stuff. And just like those types of little things make such a difference too when you have training involved. And you do a retreat, I think, as well.
And once
so,
a year.
Yes.
November, 5 days.
Yep. So check it out. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. I'll get you in touch with Gina, but the website's below. Use my code if you want to get $300 off if you're going to purchase this. Highly recommend at least I'll put it back up, doing a session with one practitioner. And that might be where you start to see you have time. So book a session. And then when you have an amazing experience like I did, you'll be like, I'm all in. So thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up here?
That I am so grateful that you are doing what you're doing in the world, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And it relieves my heart because there is so much to do and I'm only one person. And so sometimes when I realize how much needs to be done, I start to feel like, and then as I meet people like you, it just eases my heart because I know you're doing your piece and I am here to support you in whatever way I can doing your piece. It's part of why I'm here doing this with you. And I'm also very aware and very receptive to you supporting me. And because whatever supports me supports my students and supports SMGI moving out into the world and supports all those people that experience it. So I feel so grateful and my heart is full. Thank you, Jen.